Yeah, it's only deserved at the end. Welcome, everybody, and thank you very much, Paul. What he's asked me to do is just give you a kind of a brief run-through as to what the West Yorkshire and Harrogate Cancer Alliance is. Before I start, I know the kind of spectrum of the audience, thanks to Paul, but hands up anybody who knows anything that the Alliance is about. Yep, that's what we kind of thought. So part of our communication strategy isn't quite hitting the mark. So today I hope will help a little bit. We are on social media, and at the end we've got Twitter, Facebook and a web page, so it's all there for you to interact with us about. The concept of the Cancer Alliances, and there are 19 of them across the country, was to put a band back together again that existed in the past in cancer services. Some of you might have been familiar with old cancer networks. Yes? No? What they effectively did was to try and draw people from all parts of the health and care community together to try and ensure that services are wrapped around patients. They were more or less disbanded as part of the Lansley reforms in 2012 and disappeared literally, virtually off the face of the earth in terms of their effectiveness over the 3 years. So with the development of the 5-year forward view, Simon Stevens, with the National Cancer Team at the time, which I was part of, we needed to re-energise the concept of working together. It's kind of like jaw-dropping when you say it like that, but that's the simplest description of it. It was really necessary because part of the Lansley reforms put public health and local authorities who don't tend or haven't tended to talk to the NHS. They put elements of cancer services in NHS England, so they cut out the specialist element of it. So your treatment, your chemotherapy, was commissioned, designed and delivered by NHS England as a big structure. And then you had a whole number of independent CCGs who were responsible for diagnosis and early stages of the pathway. So it was all a bit of a tangled, non-communicating bit of a ball of wool that was just all tangled up. So the creation of the Alliance was to try and bring people from across the whole landscape of health and social care back together to a common purpose. So this slide is describing what we do or what we're about. So the central green boxes, which may be difficult to see, but the slides are available and Paul can send them to anybody who wants them. They're all available to you. Is describing 5 programmes of work across the whole of West Yorkshire and Harrogate, the population of 2.8 million. Tobacco control is about trying to reduce the prevalence of smoking. It's led by the public health team. But essentially what we're trying to do there is to pull the acute sector into delivering more of what it could do in terms of every contact counts to improve smoking cessation. We've got an early diagnosis programme which is leading on trying to look at new models of how you would establish the diagnosis of cancer at a curable stage. In this part of the world, you've got a 50-50 chance of your cancer being diagnosed when it's curable. That's stage 1 and 2, and we want to change that to 75%. There's a patient experience group who are trying to look at how we can engage differently with the public and in how we try and use their voice to be stronger in the design of services. We have got a high quality service group looking at ensuring that the quality of services once you are diagnosed are optimized. So they're the main programs there. They are delivered in 6 places. So we're in one place at the moment, Leeds. There are 5 other places across West Yorkshire, Bradford and Airedale, Wakefield, North Kirklees and Greater Huddersfield. Dominant of these places are around local authority footprint. So the job of the Alliance is to try and make sure that the plans that are delivered against those 5 programmes are equally designed, delivered and given weight within the 6 places, those parts of the system that are coming together to form the whole of the West Yorkshire integrated care system. That's not an easy job. Some places are well resourced, other places are not. So it's not a straightforward task to make sure that people have the right ability and infrastructure around them. We have some cross-cutting work in workforce, because I'll just mention that because that's the biggest issue that we have in terms of delivering early diagnosis and high quality care to patients. We've had austerity for a number of years now. We've had no mechanism of building up workforce. People and organisations have had to do what they can with the workforce that they've got. So how do we change and design that for the future? We're not working in isolation as a Cancer Alliance. One of the problems of the previous iteration of cancer services were we were in a bubble. We were known as a cancer network. It was dominated by the work that we did in the acute sector to reconfigure services so you had the right places where you got your treatment. Going forward, the whole health and social care structure is changing without any more legislation. You'll have heard the acronyms ICSs, Integrated Care Systems. You'd have heard about STPs, which the media call sticky toffee pudding, but actually it means Sustainable Transformational Partnerships, and we exist in one. This is again a mechanism whereby statutory organisations, either mental health trusts or hospital trusts or social care community services, are trying to work together in a collaborative way, as opposed to in the competitive way or non-collaborative way that many years of health and care policy has been up till now. So it's trying to get people to work as hard as they are in their day job, but also work together outside of their day job as a collective. This is really quite empowering when you think about what it opens up. So you don't need a hierarchy to function. You just need to have a willingness to want to do the right thing and then seek out partners to help you with this. And when we've had our recent cancer our program away day in Leeds, I just asked that question: what does it feel like if you're not given a job card to do, but actually you're told, go and meet people, find out who can help you to deliver what you think is the right thing? And that's quite empowering for people. This oversight structure helps us with this. It helps us in a number of ways. Firstly, it provides an umbrella, a governance umbrella, saying it's the right thing to do. It's what is supported and planned for within the system. It also allows us to tap into resources that we never had before. So in cancer, I've got a workforce group that I can tap into. I've got a Health Education England person who's working with us who we never had before. We've got digital and technology people who are interested in helping us as well. So this is really quite positive. I'm going to skip on that one. I'm going to just give you some brief examples now of what the sort of projects that are going on with cancer. Some of them are place-based projects on the left, like Living and Beyond in Bradford. Others are more alliance-wide, like the Optimum Pathways and looking at rapid diagnostic pathways. Tackling lung cancer is one of the main ones. It's happening in Wakefield and Bradford, Bradford and Wakefield. This is where we're doing 4 things: optimizing smoking cessation using the acute sector indifference. You'll have heard about Martin Barkley in the news recently. His is the only organisation, I'm sad to say, who's taking smoking cessation to the heights that it needs to go in terms of the support. It's fantastic. We're doing push and pull symptom awareness campaigns with the population in Wakefield and Bradford, and more importantly also identifying risky patients. So we're going to put them straight into low-dose CT scanning. This is also the final piece of work is optimizing the lung pathway so that when they are diagnosed, they're managed and treated as quickly as possible. This just demonstrates why we picked those 2 places. This shows deprivation, smoking, and lung mortality. And it just shows the red spots and the deep purple spots. Wakefield and Bradford are the places that are most in need. The rapid diagnostic pathway is another acronym, ACE, Accelerate, Coordinate and Evaluate. This is where we're looking at patients who do not have those classic red flag symptoms of cancer, but they are a clinical conundrum for their GP. So they've gone in and there's something wrong with them, and the GP is either picked up that there's a set of symptoms they're worried about, but they don't fit a box. And traditionally those patients would ping pong in the system. You'd send them to one specialty to get an answer. They'd say no, and you're back where you started with. So the MDC or ACE pilot model is all about trying to say, these are the vague symptoms, how do we get answers quickly for those patients in as smooth a way as possible? It's been very effective in both Airedale and Leeds, And now what we're trying to do is roll that across the whole of West Yorkshire in a community of practice style. We're also doing some work with digitising pathology and using the Yorkshire Imaging Collaborative. We're supporting them financially. This is to allow any patient with any diagnosis from an imaging point of view or a histology point of view to be viewed anywhere across the whole of West Yorkshire and Harrogate just with a click of a button. So this will allow faster access to opinions and also a fantastic training method. But if you think about it in terms of the realm of development, image recognition using this sort of technology is going to bring in AI as a means of helping diagnosis quicker. Optimum pathways are a given. We have to use the resources we've got. We've got work on lung cancer, prostate cancer, colorectal cancer, upper GI cancer, and head and neck. And these are all trying to slim down the pathway of care for patients. Our Living with and Beyond Cancer programme is really one about doing what we all know should have been done for some time but hasn't been done. So the recovery package is about asking patients at the end of their treatment, how are you getting on? This is what happened to you. This is the things that you should look for in the future once you've finished your treatment, but also giving the information to their GP and primary care so that they can have a decent and good cancer care review as part of their follow-up once they've finished treatment. Our baseline for this was pretty appalling. We ranged from about 80% recovery package use in 1 or 2 tumour sites to virtually 0%. So we've got a long way to go with this. The personal support work that we're doing, there's one example here of working in Bradford with cancer care in Bradford, Macmillan and the Alliance to try and see how we can package care around patients and do this PDSA cycle of continual development and change and improvement. 2 last slides. A ladder of participation is just a way of describing what we're trying to do as an alliance. We're trying to inform everybody. So we've got a significant investment in communication channels, websites, social media. Clearly, we're not doing enough if the hands are not going up. But I'd like to hear from you in the breakout what would work better. Tell us what we need in order to inform you about what we're doing. We want to consult. We've got a real strong view, Jill is here and Fraser is here, of how we really want to build the patient voice and make that the power engine, empower people. The work that I saw that Catherine was doing outside, if you look at the photographs that she's got, is all about, in my mind, there's evidence there of how we can work and empower patients to get what they need. We want to involve as much as possible and to collaborate. And we're not shy of bringing in national charities to help us with all our work as well. So the summary really was that really to emphasize that engagement in creating productive relationships is all what the Alliance is about. If you're interested in working with us, please come and talk. We have got a scorecard of outcomes which I didn't focus on, but essentially that's what we're trying to put outcomes as being the currency that we talk about, so improving stage of diagnosis, which I mentioned, reducing emergency presentation by adopting transformational pathways like the vague symptom ones that I mentioned. And we want to get rid of unwarranted variation by being transparent about the outcomes, publishing them and letting people know in all the 6 places that we describe how they, where they're at and what they need in order to support them to improve. The final thing is to say that our cancer work is definitely not in a cancer bubble. The developments in primary care and community care that are happening is the place that we need to be active and engaged with as they're developing local care partnerships or primary carers at home, whatever the terminology is in each of the places. That's the powerhouse. That, with working with community services and the voluntary sector, is going to make the biggest impact for our cancer patients. And finally, leaving you with these. So Twitter, Facebook, and a website. Please jot them down, be in touch, and I'm happy to take any questions or to go straight into introducing your next speaker, whichever you like, Paul.